What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Kind of wanted to do an update on all the latest rumors regarding the Maple Leafs and kind of just bunch it into a little bit of a video. There are some topics that I want to get into in another video, like the Leafs goaltending, apparently a Jonathan Quick situation. Make sure to subscribe and tune in for something like that. Also, tune in because I will be doing some live streams talking about the Leafs and some latest rumors. But I kind of want to just bring up some of the stuff that we've been talking about lately and some new information, kind of pack it all into one video. So if you are a Maple Leafs fan and you like trade rumors and you just want to hear as much as possible leading up to the NHL trade deadline, make sure to subscribe and tune into Andrew Piluk Hockey for lots of new content. So the first thing I wanted to get to is something that could bring up a couple different points, and I'll get to that in a second, but the federal government basically approved a 7-day quarantine with extra testing for players that are being traded in the NHL from American teams to Canadian teams before the April 12th NHL trade deadline. The government source says all provinces with NHL teams have approved of the measures. So apparently this was like the Toronto Maple Leafs were like at the front of this, like, yo, this needs to happen. So that obviously means the Leafs clearly, they've been in on a lot of players. They've been looking in at a lot of different trades. So this makes a lot of sense, although I'm kind of on the fence of like the NHL needs to separate themselves from like being, I don't want to say better than everybody else, but like it seems like the government's kind of made a little leeway for the NHL rather than just normal people, even though I just don't believe that we're in any sort of situation where quarantine, anything like that should be shortened. But this is good, I guess, for the NHL. It's good for Canadian teams. So this brings up 2 points for me. One is that the Leafs obviously don't have to make a move right away. This gives them an extra 7 days where they'll have a player in the lineup, so they don't have to go out of their way to make a trade quickly. They can take their time and get closer to that April 12th deadline and kind of see what the market opens up to be. The other thing is that they can make a trade and get somebody into the lineup as soon as possible, because you want the team to gel. You want that player to fit in properly. So if they do make a move, then obviously this makes a lot of sense for them to bring in somebody as quickly as possible. And I mean, it's pointing to them making a move. Everything is pointing to them making a move at this point. I don't think the Leafs are going to be silent at the deadline. And if they are, like I said, I'd be pretty surprised. Now, the next thing is coming from one of the best Twitter followers or follows that I'm sure you guys all are aware of. Account for Hockey tweeting out earlier that Elliot Friedman on WGR 550 says the Sabres players' lack of compete could lower their trade value. Not many people playing well to get traded faster. Following up, he said Friedman says he doesn't see the Sabres getting a first-round pick for Taylor Hall right now unless several teams suddenly decide they need him. Now, there is two sides to this. There's a side that a lot of people want Taylor Hall to be traded to the Maple Leafs, and there's a side that are like, okay, I really don't want to give up much for this guy. I don't think that he's worth it. Now, it's fair to look at both of those things, okay? It's very fair. I think that Taylor Hall, if he's at, 50% retained on his $8 million contract, the Leafs could definitely be interested on that, especially if they're probably not going to have to give up a first-round pick. Now, at 50% retained, you might have to give up a first-round pick, but if I could speak properly, I'm almost wondering if the Leafs would get a third team involved in this. Imagine if the Sabres could retain 50% and then another team could retain, another 20 to 30%. The Leafs could get a really, really good player for very cheap against their cap. Now, is Kerfoot going to be involved in a trade like that? Could you move out another, maybe an Engvall, or maybe you do, move on from Galchenyuk just to toss money around? You're going to have to give up probably a pretty decent prospect to a team, probably a decent pick. There's a lot involved in this. And again, I want to continue to make more videos on stuff like that. I'm trying to pack in as much as I can into this video, but I like doing separate videos as well to kind of really hammer home certain points. But the Leafs could still be in on Taylor Hall. And if the package is not going to be huge, I would look to Buffalo and say, you need to retain 50%. We're going to get another team to retain some salary. And, you can have a good prospect. And I'm not talking a top prospect, but you can have a pretty good prospect plus a second round pick, maybe even a third piece that's not as good, but something that Buffalo could work with. Or they just don't go after Taylor Hall. There's a ton of different things that the Leafs can do, including the next couple guys that we're going to bring up. One that we've been talking about a lot, and another one that is kind of a newer name that we could throw in there. Mikael Granlund. Apparently, the Leafs are kind of continuing to circle back to him. Again, this is all just rumors from what people are saying on like TSN and Sportsnet. Most people are thinking that the Toronto Maple Leafs are pretty locked in on Mikael Granlund being a fit. Now, the reason I put this up on the screen, if you want to watch the insider trading, just go to TSN Hockey and watch it. Because they did talk a little bit about the Toronto Maple Leafs there, but they also brought up Tanner Pearson and whether or not he'll stay with the Canucks. So real quick, Mikael Granlund again, if you do get him at this price, you have to make a move. You're definitely going to have to clear out some cap space. Or if you get him at 50%, which I do think is an option, you would have to make a move in terms of a little bit of salary, and you're definitely going to have to give up a little bit more to acquire this player. Now, it is possible for the Leafs to look to another team to retain some salary to make this contract work as well. But hey, we'll have to see. Same thing here with Ekholm. If you're going to get another defenseman, same idea. You'll have to get some salary retained unless you're sending back a player in this deal. The Leafs can make a pretty sizable package in terms of getting Granlund and Ekholm. We've talked about this before. If you're interested in them getting a forward and a defenseman, I feel like this is probably the best package that you could get. But the asking price on Ekholm apparently is a little bit different than what people were expecting. The Predators are looking for a first-round pick, an elite prospect, and a third piece, which that third piece I would be guessing is like a B-, C+ type of prospect. But that's a lot, a first and an elite prospect. So if you're talking elite, I guess you're talking a Robertson, a Liljegren, a Sandin, and a Amirov, one of those guys. Because at first, if the Jake Muzzin package was what the comparable was, that was a first-round pick plus a good prospect plus another decent prospect. But if Ekholm's an elite prospect on top of that, I don't know if the Leafs would be interested in that, especially if that's the asking price without any salary retention. I don't know. There might be better options on the blue line that, well, not better, but guys that are good for cheaper in terms of their cap hit plus the price that you're paying to acquire that player. But again, Ekholm and Granlund, two big pieces. But Tanner Pearson's an interesting one. Same cap hit as well. Doesn't have any more years remaining after this year. The Canucks are kind of talking to him about an extension at the same time, but he's also injured. Nobody knows what he's going to be doing and whether or not he's going to be healthy enough. But just to show you guys his points, 11 points right now in 33 games played. He's a little bit of a chippier player, not like too crazy in terms of his physicality, but he's heavy on the puck. Just a good player that the Leafs could definitely use. He could fit in well on a little bit of a grinder line, or they give him a shot in the top six. Again, the Leafs basically will try anybody in that position to see if they fit, hoping that maybe they find another version of Zach Hyman, not as good, but maybe another guy that's heavy on the puck that can feed the Stars. You never know. That could possibly happen. Whether or not that's a Tanner Pearson, they're going to try to find somebody that fits in on that top six. And I think they are going to acquire somebody. Whether or not it is a bigger name player, they're still going to figure it out, and they're going to have to bring somebody in. Now, let's just quickly look here. Their cap space, and you're going to see I have a $5 million cap space here. I have Frederik Andersen on long-term injured reserve. If he is going to be out into the playoffs, the Leafs might have some money to work with here, but I do have to look into that a little bit more. But let's just pretend that Freddie's there as well. I could move this around, but just for the sake of the video, I don't think that the Leafs are thinking that they have that much cap space for sure. you have to look at it this way. If you're making any deal for a guy that cost a little bit of money, and by a little bit I mean more than, a couple $1,000,000, Kerfoot could be on his way out. You definitely have to get another forward in there. They also could look to their taxi squad with Nick Robertson. They want to give him a shot once he's healthy, because if he was healthy, I'm sure they would have given him a shot already. Is Travis Dermott a guy that can be out of the lineup? I don't think they're going to do that with Zach Bogosian, because his physicality and his penalty killing, he's actually been quite good. I've seen him make a few really good passes this year too. A little bit of an underrated passer, maybe not too crazy, but I think he's a little bit underrated when it comes to his passing. I actually don't mind it at all. I do like the way that they've kind of made the bottom six here. So if they do move on from a guy like Galchenyuk, they could just put him on waivers, or maybe put him into a trade. I don't think they want to do that. I think they'd much rather just put him with the Marlies. But you never know. It could happen. Or Galchenyuk, starts to play a little bit better, and they find something that they didn't think they had. But there's a lot of there's so much the Leafs can do in terms of moving out cap space, putting Freddie on LTIR, getting a third team involved in a trade. It's just something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. This is a bunch of different topics that I wanted to talk about at once. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. More live streams are coming. Just kind of wanted to give my opinion on a few guys and a couple of the rumors that have been around the last couple days, because I haven't been able to film. So yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you are new, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Yeah, more to come, more rumors, more live streams, and hopefully I'll see you guys in those. Peace.